If you shout at me, I'm used to it, right? But don't hurt my family, you know? I got really mad at those guys. Even though I'm grown up now, it still hurts a bit when something like this happens.
Hi, I'm Zoe, a human being who failed to live a conventional life. I have a deep interest in people and their choices of life. In my podcast, I'll be having conversations with individuals who are open to talk about their mental journeys in life. This season is called My Mental Journey of Migration. 8 guests will share their experiences of living in different cultures.
Hello everyone, welcome to Wandering Zoe. Zoe here, and today we have our guest Carmen. Hello Carmen.
Hi everyone, I'm Carmen. Thanks for having me, Zoe.
Thank you for coming. Carmen, can you briefly introduce yourself to our audience?
Yes, of course. I'm Carmen. I'm 25 years old. I was born and raised in the Netherlands, but my parents are originally from Hong Kong. So I grew up in a bicultural environment for my whole life already. I recently graduated with a master's in finance from the VU Amsterdam, and I'm looking for a job in the consultancy industry. But before that, I'm enjoying my 3 months holiday in Hong Kong and China.
So at the moment, you're in Hong Kong?
Yes, that's correct.
Wow. Have you been in Hong Kong before?
Yes, I used to go back with my family every year during summer vacation. So I'm quite familiar with Hong Kong. It's my second home.
So you were born in Netherlands, right?
Yes.
How was your experience growing up in Netherlands?
The Netherlands, education-wise, I must say from what I've heard, is much chiller than in Asia. So that's very good.
Good for you.
Yeah. But I grew up in a very small town in the northern part of the Netherlands. So basically when I grew up, we were the only Chinese or even Asian family in that town. So sometimes it felt quite difficult. I think that's the right way to put it.
Grew up as the only Asian family in that town. What's the difference that you feel when you compare yourself to your classmates or Dutch families?
The difference, I think it's really culture-wise. Because at home, we speak Cantonese to each other, and our TV is always just Hong Kong TV. So it's very, very Chinese at home. My dad was working a lot. So at home, it was just me, my sister, and my mom. And my mom moved to the Netherlands later. So culture-wise, she's still very Asian. So that really shaped me as well. So I think I'm more culturally Chinese. So that's the biggest difference, I think, with me and the society around us, even though I was born and raised in the Netherlands.
What are those difficulties to be the only Chinese family, Asian family?
I think most difficult was because we were different from the rest around us. Sometimes some not that nice things would happen. For example, on the streets, sometimes those young people would shout some racist stuff towards us. Comments like those that have affected me and kind of shaped who I am today. But also at the beginning of primary school, I remember I was sometimes treated differently by classmates because I look different. Some small bullying would happen.
Did you understand everything? Did you attribute this to your difference?
At that time, no. I was too young to know that racism exists. I know that I look different from the rest. I was the only person with black hair, but I wouldn't think that people treated me that way because of my different race. I just thought, it just happened to me, and I didn't attribute it to racism, no.
But you also mentioned that on street, if you were with your family, they would shout at you. So that sounds like they even shout at adults. So that sounds very interesting to me because I always think, they just shout at kids.
No, on the streets, they can do whatever they want. And when they see you're a whole group of Chinese people, those children would just shout at you no matter what age you are.
Does it still happen?
Sometimes, I actually experienced it recently. During my sister's high school graduation, we were walking back home, the 4 of us, my parents, my sister and I. And then just at some corner, some teenage boys I'm not even sure if they were teenagers already. On their bikes, they were just passing by and they shouted some comments like, oh, Chinese, ni hao, these kind of stuff still happen from time to time.
What do you feel now? Do you feel, they're just stupid people? Or you can still feel what you felt when you were a child?
I feel both, honestly. Like, I feel like there are people who haven't seen much of the world yet. They don't know better. Their ignorance caused them to make comments like this. But on the other side, when it really happens, especially with my family, it was quite sad. It also made me mad, actually. Like, don't hurt my family, If you shout at me, I'm used to it, right? But I was with my family. I got really mad at those guys, even though I'm grown up now. Maybe it sounds stupid, but yeah, it still hurts a bit when something like this happens.
And you couldn't do anything. There was a time I and another Chinese girl, we were on the street in Leiden, a city in Netherlands. We were attacked by two teenage girls. We did call the police, but then I don't think I can do many things except for calling the police.
Yeah, and at the time when it happens, sometimes you don't even know how to react yet, because it comes out of a sudden, right? You don't even know how to react at that moment.
Exactly. Well, I want to know more about your family. Are your parents the first generation of immigrants?
I would say my dad kind of is. He moved with my grandparents to the Netherlands when he was still in primary school. So he basically is very much Dutch culture-wise. He's more Dutch than I am. My mom just went to the Netherlands after she got married to my dad when she was in her 20s. So for her, it was a different experience.
Did your mother tell you it was really hard for her to adjust herself to the Dutch culture and everything?
Oh yeah, I think she had a hard time, especially learning the new language, because it's so different from Chinese or Cantonese, right? Culture-wise, it's also very different. One thing she actually witnessed was quite interesting. When I was in kindergarten, she would bring me to school. And then every morning the kids would sit in a big circle to pray, because I went to a Christian school. So every morning we would pray together. And then each kid would bring their own chair towards the circle and then sit down wherever you wanted. So she told me when I was older that one time when she was looking into the classroom from the hallway, because parents can stand there at the beginning to look at us, what she saw was that when I put my chair down next to some classmates, they would immediately move their chair and sit somewhere else. And that was really heartbreaking for her to see. And at that time, I wasn't even really aware of this fact. Like, maybe I would know that people moved away when I sat next to them, but I wouldn't consciously think that that's because of me, of my personality, or because of my appearance. I didn't have that many feelings back then, actually. But when she told me when I was older that she was heartbroken when this happened, it really hit me like, wow, that's really sad, actually.
I feel so sorry for you and also your mother. Because I feel when you were young, you probably didn't know what's going on. And somehow protected you.
I think so. If my mom had told me earlier, maybe I would have been very different as a child. Because the funny thing is, when I was a kid, my aunt actually told me that they thought I had ADHD. Like, I was such an energetic and fun-loving kid. And I talked a lot back then. But then at some point, like in the latter part of my primary school career, my personality was like 180 degrees different from when I was younger. I was really quiet, really reserved and shy. I didn't dare to speak up. And I think part of that is because of all these experiences that I had during my childhood that made me so self-conscious.
It must be really heartbroken for your mother to witness everything.
Yes, it is. It was more horrible for her because she knew why it happened, right? And when I was young, I didn't know it was racism. But she's a strong woman, so all good now.
You also mentioned that you became very quiet when you were in your teenage years. Can you tell us more about this?
Yes, I just became really shy and scared to speak up sometimes. I was afraid that people would, attack me because of what I said or because I'm different. I think that's something that has been engraved into me unconsciously because of all these childhood experiences.
I feel so sad for you.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. It's in the past.
But many people have been bullied when they are in their teenage years, usually become quieter and they're more conscious of what they do, even though maybe it's not their fault at all. But they just feel like, I don't dare to say anything because I don't want to make myself in a more disadvantageous situation that I'm already.
Exactly. I think it's more like, I don't want to bring myself out there anymore to become a target. I think that's kind of like what's happening inside that makes us afraid to speak up. So I had my group of friends in high school, and yeah, I would be more afraid to walk on the streets alone than if I were with my Dutch friends. Cause in my head, I would think, okay, if I'm with a Dutch person, at least other people on the street would just think I'm part of them, right? She can hang out with Dutch people. And that's quite sad and interesting. Like I used to be afraid to just go out alone or with my family, just a group of Chinese people walking in a small town on the streets. Cause I knew for sure that we would get yelled at with some weird comments, right? If I were with my Dutch friends, even though it happened, my Dutch would yell back for me. They would stand up for me.
Your Dutch friends?
My Dutch friends, yeah. Unconsciously, I was like, every time I went out, I just want to be with Dutch people at least, and I would feel more safe. And that's really sad. Really sad.
I don't know how that works. It's like, oh, someone's shouting at me and make me feel I'm different, and then I somehow change my behavior. And now when I look back, I feel like, oh, maybe I should shout back. But then back then I didn't have that strength.
Yes. No strength, and also just don't know how to react at that moment if it comes all of a sudden. Yeah.
And the first time I met you, I feel you're very calm. And also, I don't see many expressions on your face.
Cold?
Yes, yeah. Cold, distant,
RBF.
Calm. Okay, resting beach face. I love the word.
Can you say that?
I think I can. Why not?
Yeah, I know for a fact that I have a resting bitch face. Now, I can't really prove it if it's because of my experiences or if I was born like this, but even up to this day, I it's just natural now for me to have a resting bitch face and just come over as a strong person, I guess. Like, it's a self-protection mechanism that I have developed throughout the years, I think, to come over as inapproachable, to not get attacked.
But when I get to know you, I think you are very friendly and you are very cheerful. There's a contrast that I don't really get it, but now I feel, okay, there are several layers, right? The first layer is you want to protect yourself from being differentiated.
Mm-hmm.
And the second layer, maybe because of profession, you study finance, you do need to portray yourself as a tough woman.
Yeah, exactly. It's a mixture of all these things.
Have you been living in other countries?
I did my internship in London, in Watford for a year. And then after graduation, I stayed in London for another half a year for work. So I've lived abroad for a year and a half, 2 years.
Was it hard for you to adjust to a new country?
Honestly, moving to UK was not too hard. First of all, Hong Kong used to be a colony of the UK, so I was quite familiar with the British culture already. And the UK is right next to the Netherlands, so it's really close by. It was still very close to my family and friends, and I knew I could just go home even during the weekends, for example, quickly to see them. So moving there wasn't that difficult. I think the hardest part to adjust was the cultural difference between the British people and the Dutch people. Because, Dutch people are really direct, right? They say everything to your face, even it's not necessarily nice. But in the UK, for example, when I first met someone, a girl, and we were just having a nice small talk. And at the end, she was like, "It was nice meeting you. You should come over to my place to have dinner sometime." I took that seriously. Like, I thought, she's really inviting me to her place to have dinner. But no, later I just found out that the British people say those things out of courtesy. I think that was the biggest difference from living in the Netherlands to moving to the UK.
Did you train yourself to be a little bit more British, more polite?
Not in that way, because I like to be genuine. But after I was aware that people were like that in the UK, I just, you still stay polite, right? And show your manners, of course. But for me, myself, I like to keep on being genuine and direct. That's not only because of the Dutch culture, but also that's just my personality. I'm a very direct person. So I still kept that part of me. What I did learn was a British accent, even though you might not hear it now, but I tried to adjust that as well when I was there to speak more British and sound more posh, but that was a bit hard.
To sound more posh. I have no idea. I don't know what is posh or what is not. Certain accents are definitely not posh.
Yeah, but like in London, I don't know, my friends over there, they speak really posh. I can't do that. Like a bottle of water. Something like that.
I'm not sure that's posh English, but...
It's not posh from my mouth, but from them, it's really posh. It's their whole accent.
I see. Now you are in China, completely different culture. Every time when you travel to Hong Kong, do you feel comfortable? Do you feel like, oh gosh, this is so different?
It's more familiar.
It's more familiar.
Like I said, at home, I grew up with my mom. Most of the time she brought us up. At home, it was very Chinese culture. And I used to watch a lot of Hong Kong TV as well. So I knew my whole life already how it was like in Hong Kong. And then every time I go back to Hong Kong, it just feels like if not, I'm going back home, I'm going back to my second home, I have a lot of family here and everyone around me is the same. We all look the same, right? Subconsciously, every time I come back to Hong Kong, I feel like a weight has been put off of me. I feel like I can be myself more. And I know that people won't judge me because of my appearance, because we all look the same. So yeah, that's quite interesting, actually. I feel more free in Hong Kong in that sense.
Okay, some weight are taking off your shoulder. So do you think that weight is a part of you or is not a part of you?
I think that weight has shaped my personality for sure. Like, I'm overall a more quieter person. I think part of that is because of my childhood experiences. But yeah, in Hong Kong,
Do you want to shake it off, the weight?
Shake it off. It just comes off naturally when I'm in Hong Kong.
If you go back to Netherlands one day, and do you want to shake it off, if that's possible?
Of course, I will want to shake it off. Like, in my mind, I know I can shake it off because I'm grown up now. I know in adult world, people just respect everyone, right? But like in my heart, I still get these scary feelings sometimes. Even nowadays, if I know I have to go to a Dutch small town, I just still sometimes feel stressed or nervous for some unexpected experiences, like those comments that you get shouted at on the streets, right? So yeah, if I could just shake all these things off, I would love to. But I'm working towards it. I'm slowly working towards it, just to let things go. Yeah, I guess it's kind of like PTSD, right? It's just engraved in my subconsciousness.
I think so. Now you have a plan to travel around China.
Yes.
What's your plan?
So I'm in Hong Kong now until the end of this month, so end of August. And then I will go to Shanghai with a friend of mine who is coming from the Netherlands, actually. And then we'll visit friends in Shanghai. We stay there for 2 weeks and then go to Beijing for 3 weeks. And if we can, we also want to go to the surrounding cities. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's my first time going to China.
It's your first time?
Going to mainland China, yes.
I guess you need to get a visa to go to China. So that's why.
That's correct.
And have you considered to work in China?
I have considered that before. I've even consulted you, right? For your opinion on how it's like working there. I've consulted all my Chinese friends. But after careful consideration, for now, I will go back to the Netherlands for work. But if the opportunity comes, I would love to try working in China. In the future, maybe, yeah. First, get a good basis in the Netherlands and maybe in a few years, who knows?
I have seen many like Dutch Chinese. They were born in Netherlands or they migrated to Netherlands at a very young age. Not many of them actually want to work in China.
For me, it was not necessarily working there, but more like living there. I want to experience all the cultural stuff. I want to eat all the food, go to all these nice cities, just being a tourist basically. And I thought if I worked there, I could see all this stuff, but no, right? Working culture there is really hardcore. So even if I work there, I don't think, unfortunately for sure. So I think even if I worked there, I wouldn't have enough free time to travel around anymore. So that wouldn't make sense for me to move there anymore then. It's a pity.
Yeah. I wish you good luck with your journey because I like Shanghai. I like Shanghai a lot. But not so much Beijing, but I would recommend you to watch some theater plays in Beijing because Beijing is a cultural center of China. Yeah. So there are a lot of performances going on.
Nice. I look forward to your recommendations.
Thank you so much for your time, Carmen.
Thank you for having me.
I hope this recording has really good quality so that we don't have to do it again.
I hope so as well. Otherwise, we really have to do it in person.
Yes. But then that's a good opportunity for us to meet up.
But we'll see.
Thank you for your time.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Have a good day.
And a night. A good night.
And night.